NaLyssa Smith is gone. If you're the Fever, how great do you feel about that?
The Indiana Fever just made a stunning trade, sending NaLyssa Smith to Dallas. And let's just say she is not leaving quietly. Instead of a simple thank you, she threw major shade at Indiana, and the drama is unreal. But here's where it gets even crazier. Indiana isn't just shaking things up. They're making power moves. They brought in Sophie Cunningham, a tough, fearless shooter who brings fire to the court. This is a game changer for Caitlin Clark and the Fever's future. So now the big question, did Indiana just make the move that puts them in championship contention? Or did they just take a huge risk that could backfire? One thing's for sure, this trade has set the WNBA on fire.
So in the same day as they get Natasha Howard, they get Sophie Cunningham, possibly adding 2 starters, while also bringing Kelsey Mitchell back, and in year 2 of Caitlin Clark.
We're breaking it all down, so don't go anywhere, because you need to hear what's really going on with this trade. But before we jump into the good stuff, take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By joining our crew, you'll always be in the loop with the latest WNBA updates, expert takes, and breakdowns of big moves just like this. Don't miss out, we've got every angle covered. So hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive right in. First things first, let's talk about NaLyssa Smith's exit. Indiana's decision to move on from her was far from a quiet, simple farewell. Instead of the usual "thank you for the opportunity" message that many players post after a trade, Smith let the world know exactly how she felt. Her parting words? A not-so-subtle jab at the Fever, saying she's excited to play for an organization that believes in me. Ouch. Clearly, Smith felt undervalued and overlooked in Indiana, but was she right? Or was this just frustration speaking? Let's rewind a bit. Smith was drafted 2nd overall in 2022, and at first it looked like Indiana had struck gold. Her rookie season showed promise, 13 points and 8 rebounds per game. The potential was there, but consistency was not. By 2024, her numbers had dipped, and her impact on the game had started to fade. Defensive struggles, inefficient shooting, and a failure to fit into Indiana's evolving system ultimately led to the Fever deciding it was time to move on. Then the trade rumors started. At first it seemed unlikely, but as the season progressed, the writing was on the wall. Smith wasn't part of the Fever's long-term plan, and then boom, the trade happened. Just like that, Smith was on her way to Dallas, and Indiana had a new weapon in Sophie Cunningham. Now let's talk about who the Fever got in return, Sophie Cunningham. Indiana didn't just trade Smith for nothing. They brought in a player known for her toughness, energy, and deadly three-point shot. And let's be real, Cunningham is not the type to back down from a challenge. She's a fiery competitor who isn't afraid to mix it up on the court, and that's exactly what Indiana needs. But that's not all. Cunningham is more than just a scrappy player. She's the kind of player who thrives in high-pressure situations, someone who elevates her game when it matters most. She brings an intensity that fuels her teammates, and her presence alone is enough to change the dynamic of a game. Indiana needed more players who aren't afraid to get physical, who can match the energy of a heated battle on the court, and who refuse to back down. Cunningham checks all those boxes. So why does this trade make sense? Here's the breakdown. Elite shooting. Cunningham is a career 38% three-point shooter. That's huge for a team that desperately needed more floor spacing. She isn't just a spot-up shooter. She can hit shots off the dribble and in transition, keeping defenses on their toes. Tough defense. She brings defensive versatility that Smith lacked. Cunningham can guard multiple positions and isn't afraid to put her body on the line for a crucial stop. Leadership and energy. Cunningham plays with a chip on her shoulder, and Indiana needs that kind of attitude to compete at a high level. She's vocal on the court, making sure her teammates are locked in and engaged. Championship mentality. She's been part of winning cultures and understands what it takes to push a team forward. She's played alongside elite talents and knows how to fit into a system that breeds success. Experience in big moments. She's played in high-stakes games and knows what it takes to deliver under pressure. Whether it's knocking down a clutch three or making a crucial defensive play, she thrives in those moments. Physicality and grit. Cunningham isn't afraid to get into opponents' heads. She plays with an edge, sometimes frustrating her matchups, and that kind of toughness is something the Fever desperately needed. With Caitlin Clark leading the offense, Cunningham's ability to spread the floor will open up more opportunities for both Clark and Aaliyah Boston inside. It's a perfect match. But more than that, Cunningham brings a level of intensity that can help shape the culture of this Indiana Fever team. She's the kind of player who will make sure no one coasts through a game. This trade wasn't just about swapping talent, it was about changing the Fever's entire identity. And with Cunningham in the mix, Indiana is making it clear. They're here to compete, and they're not backing down from anybody. All right, let's talk about the biggest takeaway from this trade, what it actually means for Caitlin Clark. No sugarcoating here, this move is all about making life easier for her. Clark is the face of the franchise, the future of the Indiana Fever, and the organization knows they need to build around her the right way. Bringing in Sophie Cunningham? That's a power move. It's not just about adding another player. It's about giving Clark exactly what she needs to shine. Here's why Cunningham is a perfect fit. 1. She stretches the floor. Clark is at her best when she has space to work with. Defenses already focus on shutting her down, so the last thing she needs is a clogged-up offense. The problem? NaLyssa Smith, while talented, didn't have the shooting range to keep defenders honest. Cunningham changes that. She's a legit threat from deep, meaning defenders can't sag off her, which opens up lanes for Clark to drive, dish, or pull up from anywhere. 2. She plays tough defense. Let's be real. Clark's offensive brilliance is undeniable, but defense, that's where she could use some backup. Cunningham brings that grit and versatility on defense. She's the kind of player who can guard multiple positions, taking some of that defensive weight off Clark's shoulders. The Fever don't want their star player burning all her energy chasing matchups. Cunningham helps solve that problem. 3. She brings attitude and toughness. Clark is going to be a target every night. Opposing teams will come at her physically, trying to throw her off her game. That's where Cunningham steps in. She's got that edge, that fire, that don't mess with my teammate mentality. If things get chippy, you can bet Cunningham will be right there, making sure Clark isn't taking unnecessary hits without a response. 4. She's a proven winner. This isn't just about adding talent, it's about adding a winning mindset. Cunningham has been in high-pressure situations before. She knows what it takes to compete at the highest level, and that kind of experience is priceless for a young team like the Fever. Winning is contagious, and adding players with that mentality helps change the culture. 5. She creates chemistry. Some players just make everyone around them better. Cunningham is one of them. She plays with high energy, keeps the team engaged, and brings a level of intensity that's hard to ignore. Whether it's hyping up teammates, diving for loose balls, or hitting clutch shots, she's the kind of player who elevates the entire squad. That kind of chemistry is huge for a team looking to make a deep run. This trade isn't just a minor roster tweak, it's a statement. The Fever are fully committed to giving Caitlin Clark everything she needs to succeed. With Cunningham in the mix, Indiana just got tougher, smarter, and more dangerous. And for Clark, this is exactly the kind of move that sets her up for long-term success. Is Indiana now a serious contender? Let's hit pause for a second and really talk about the Indiana Fever. For the past few years, they've been stuck in rebuild mode, trying to piece together a team that can actually compete. But now, things feel different. They've got a squad that's making people sit up and take notice. Leading the way is Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation talent who can shoot from anywhere and take over a game in an instant. The offense runs through her. Then there's Kelsey Mitchell, one of the best shooters in the league, a walking bucket who can create her own shot no matter the defense. In the paint, Aaliyah Boston dominates, controlling the boards and locking down defensively, giving Indiana a strong inside presence. Add in Sophie Cunningham, a high-energy spark plugs who brings grit and clutch three-point shooting, and Natasha Howard, a veteran with championship experience who knows how to win, and suddenly, this team looks dangerous. This is not just a squad built for the future, it's a lineup designed to win right now. Let's be real, this team has the potential to make some serious noise in the WNBA. If everything clicks, the Fever could go from a rebuilding franchise to a legit playoff contender overnight. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are still question marks. Chemistry takes time. A new core doesn't just gel instantly. They need reps, experience, and real game situations to figure things out. The competition is fierce, with the WNBA stacked with talent, making every night a battle. Indiana can't just rely on hype, they have to prove it on the court. Growing pains are inevitable, and there will be tough losses, frustrating moments, and learning curves along the way. But one thing is certain, this is the best Indiana Fever roster we've seen in years, and fans finally have a reason to be excited. Will they be instant title contenders? Maybe not. But they're no longer a team that gets overlooked. They're young, hungry, and ready to prove they belong in the playoff conversation. So, is Indiana a contender? Maybe. Maybe not. But one thing's for sure, they're back in the conversation, and that's a win on its own. What's next for NaLyssa Smith? Now let's shift gears and talk about what's next for Smith. For her, this is a fresh start in Dallas. She'll have a chance to prove Indiana wrong, and in a new system she might flourish. But make no mistake, this trade was more about Indiana's future than about Smith's potential. The Fever are done waiting. They're ready to win, and they just made the boldest move yet to make that happen. Smith will now have the opportunity to showcase her skills in a new environment, free from the expectations she couldn't meet in Indiana. Dallas may provide the system that allows her to thrive, but she'll have to prove that Indiana made a mistake. So after looking at everything, did Indiana win this trade? Only time will tell, but right now, it looks like a major win for the Fever. They swapped uncertainty for proven production. They got tougher, more skilled, and better suited for the modern WNBA. And most importantly, they made a move that benefits Caitlin Clark immediately. Wow, what a trade. The Indiana Fever are making moves, and Caitlin Clark just got a huge boost. But was this the right call? Did they just set themselves up for a deep playoff run? Or could this trade come back to haunt them? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was this a win or an L for Indiana? And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this. More trades, more drama, and more WNBA action are on the way, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.